Got my phone here. Thank you, sir. All right.
Nice.
Sorry, Julie, you ready? All right. We'll call this meeting to order. This is the Thursday, April 20th, 2023 Boone County Board meeting. I'll call that meeting to order. Would you all please rise and join me in the pledge and invocation, remain standing? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father, bless us as we come together to do our work as county board. Let us be respectful of each other and come to decisions that will help improve the lives of all Boone County citizens. Let us work with compassion, fairness, and equality to everyone. Please bless the first responders gathered with us tonight and the others who could not be here, that they continue to do their work for our county and the citizens that reside here. Please continue to bless the military actively serving here and in other countries, and bless the veterans that have served this country both in past and in the present. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
All right. We'll move forward with the roll call. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Rodney Riley,
Here.
Ryan Curry,
Here.
Ray Larson,
Here.
Brett Mueller,
Here.
Brian Schneider,
Here.
David Wiltsey,
Here.
Elisa Patterson. Here. Tom Wahlberg,
Here.
Sherry Branson. Here. Dana Logston,
Here.
Marion Thornton,
Here.
Carl Johnson.
All right. I would entertain a motion to, or I'll make a motion to allow Carl Johnson to attend the meeting remotely, please.
So moved. Second.
By Mr.
Mueller.
Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Schneider. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Carl, are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
Very good, sir. Welcome. All right, motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Schneider. Any discussions or changes to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We don't have any minutes. We don't have any minutes to approve. All right, appointments and recognition, 5.2. I'd just like to take a minute, reflect on a couple weeks ago, on March 1st, or I'm sorry, March 31st, that Friday night. We had weather tragedy hit the city and many areas in Boone County. We have a lot of volunteers, a lot of people that work in first responders, and they came to the aid of injured people at the Apollo Theater that night. I was down there. I saw firsthand how things were going and how organized everybody was. It was truly an amazing act of bravery and dedication to service. And I've invited some of those folks that were involved in that tonight. Not going to give speeches, but I'd like for them to at least introduce the members of their organization that might be here with them. Since the sheriff is not here, I know Deputy Chief or Chief Deputy Pat Malloy's here, but I don't know that any of the crew's here tonight. But I think they're coming maybe at our next administration meeting, the ones that worked that night. Wonderful. Thank you, Pat. Chief Woody from the City of Belvedere Police Department, if you would introduce your staff quickly.
Absolutely. First, I'd just like to say thank you for the invitation.
You know what? Do me a favor, Pat, or Shane, would you mind coming up to the microphone at the podium, please? Thank you.
First of all, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say thank you for the invitation tonight. Just for the board's reference, we have Officer Rich Weiland in attendance here tonight, as well as Officer Joe McDermott and Deputy Chief Matthew Wallace and myself. We were all in attendance that night of the tragedy at the Apollo and on North State Street. So I'd just like to introduce them for your reference. And once again, thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. Thank you for everything you guys, all of you guys do. Who's here from the fire department? It said Belvedere City Fire Department. Oh, there's Chief Shadle right there. Chief, I know you're used to the camera, so just jump right up here at the podium and let's make in light of it. I mean, it was a terrible tragedy what happened, but again, the way these guys jumped into their roles, their leadership roles, and getting things done was just amazing. And I can tell you firsthand from being trained in it myself and having to do it myself, sometimes public information is a difficult thing. And we used to call it feeding the animals. So it comes to talking to the press. So go ahead, Chief.
No, I appreciate on behalf of the responders that responded that night, especially those that were the hands and the feet of the rescue incident, those that went inside of a building that had just collapsed after a tornado. They didn't wait till the storm passed. They didn't wait till the rain stopped. They didn't wait till 12:30 the next day for the engineer to come in and say it's safe or it's not safe. They rushed in there. So those are the true heroes that night. To get everybody out in such a quick manner as they did. And then all the EMS workers throughout the entire county, all the firefighters and volunteer firefighters that on a day in, day out basis, they drop whatever they're doing to come and help the community. Birthday parties, Christmas, no day is exempt for those volunteers. So hats off to those guys as well. But from our department in attendance here, people are probably trying to back out here. We have Stephen Mead, Ron Herman, Troy Vandenbroek, Lieutenant Dan Drawl. Lieutenant Dan Drawl was the initial incident commander, and he was actually oversaw the entire rescue and search branch of that really the most difficult and the most challenging part of that rescue. You know, one of the hardest part as an incident commander, as Lieutenant would attest to, is making the order to send your men and or women into danger, knowing it's the right thing to do. And so he's, living with that, and thankfully a good outcome. Adam Elwinger is there, Captain Chris Letourneau, Mark Beck, and Nick Thornton. I saw Todd Winnie earlier, but he's okay.
Wave your hand, guys. Make sure we know you're here.
Todd Winnie, Jim Krebs are all here.
Pop's also.
And Greg Pavlatos. So the firefighters don't like attention. I don't know if you guys ever realized that. But the other really good information that I have to share with you all is earlier this week, I got notification that all patients that were hospitalized, there was 48 persons treated in 5 different hospitals. Of those 48, 26 of them were transported from the scene by EMS, by ambulance. And on Tuesday, I was able to get good vetted information that everybody is out of the hospital right now. So I thank you guys for recognizing the responders and taking time out of your meeting to do so. It means a lot. That helps them also recover as well, because we're human beings and we saw a lot of stuff that night that's stressful. And so being appreciated helps in that. So thank you.
Welcome. Thank you, Chief. I know it's going to be hard to follow, but EMA Director Dan Zachard, would you like to say a couple words?
I'd like to.
Well,
No.
the Chief Shadle's tough to follow, but I'm sure you'll do all right.
All right, so I am the EMA Director. EMA is an emergency management agency. I'm the only full-time EMA person in the county. All the rest of them are volunteer, no money. Hundreds of hours every year of volunteer work. So we have, excuse me here, Tim Keelan. Go ahead and stand up. Terry Faust, Pat Sable, Ben Kamara. You definitely stand up. So you guys don't realize this, but we have a meteorologist on staff who does it for free. He went to school to be a meteorologist, and he's middle school principal. Don't be shy. He sits down in the weather center with us every time there's bad weather coming in. We just finished one
I'm sure.
just 10 minutes ago. So we're very lucky in this county to have people like this who will do it for free. And so what we do as EMA is try and coordinate, open an emergency operations center, try and feed resources where they're needed the most so we don't double up on resources or someone doesn't get them. And that's just the beginning. The rest of it is damage assessment. And we've been doing that for the last 2 weeks. We're pretty much done now. We're looking at about 115 structures that have been damaged, anywhere from very minor to very major. And so we're trying to get money from the federal government. I'm sorry, it's not looking good. Fortunately, we just didn't have enough damage to get a declaration from the federal government, and that's fortunate for us. On Wednesday, we will have FEMA here looking at small business loans. What that means is if you have a small business and it was damaged, and we qualify, you'll be able to get loans for, as little as 2%. So at least that's something. So if I've sent out a list of damaged properties. I'll get you yours here. And if there's not a property owner that has been damaged, let me know. It's a live document and we can always add it. So, it for EMA.
Thank you. Thank you. Scanning around the back, am I missing anybody? Is anybody here that I asked to come that I didn't see that needs to check in? And I don't think so. Okay. All right. Well, on behalf of the county board, folks, we're going to give you a standing ovation. We appreciate all that you've done. Right. All right, moving along, we're going to go to 5.3. I need a motion to approve Resolution 23-11 proclaiming April as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month in Boone County.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wiltsey, seconded by Mr. Larson. Any discussion? All right, I will read the proclamation as follows. Resolution 23-11, a resolution proclaiming April as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month in Boone County, Illinois. Whereas throughout the month of April, the Family Violence Coordinating Council and other prevention groups will be hosting several events to bring awareness to the issue of child abuse. And whereas over 100,000 victims of child abuse are reported each year in the state of Illinois, and whereas every child is entitled to be loved, cared for, nurtured, feel secure, and be free from verbal, sexual, emotional, and physical abuse and neglect. And whereas the County of Boone has dedicated individuals and organizations who work daily to counter the problem of child abuse and neglect and help parents obtain assistance they need. And whereas our communities are stronger when all citizens become aware of child abuse and neglect prevention and become involved in supporting parents to raise their children in a safe and nurturing environment. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among families, social service agencies, schools, religious and civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Boone County does hereby proclaim the month of April 2023 to be Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month, Boone County, Illinois, and encourage all citizens rally support for child abuse victims and volunteer with organizations leading to the end of this crime that plagues our society. Hopefully passed and approved and adopted by the Boone County Board, State of Illinois. So we have a motion on the floor with a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Thank you, folks. All right, we're going to move along to public comment, but before we do that, the clerk is going to double check the microphone to make sure that it's working. So in order to prepare for that, I need you to step up to the microphone when I call your name with the slips here. I need you to provide your full name and address for the record. And then I'm going to limit everyone to 3 minutes tonight because we do have a pretty full agenda. So. Take just a minute. Mr. Bates, you're going to be first though, just so you know.
then.
Okay.
I think I hear it.
Thank you.
All right, Eddie Bates, if you would approach the microphone again, your name and address. I won't start the timer until you begin speaking, but I need to keep everyone at 3 minutes tonight. Thank you, sir. Go right ahead.
My name is Eddie Barres, 221 West Parker Street. Good evening to all of you. It is so amazing to be in a county where we have so many heroes. And a county that I want to believe is the best for its own citizens. But for the last months, I've been asked so many questions. This time I decided to put on the table. This is in regards to what's going on with the rodeo business owners. And I've been asked so many questions in regards to what's going on. And I try to say what I can see, but they're asking me if that is right, and I don't have no answers. I've been asked what's the game, and I don't have the answers. I've been asked that this is not right, and I don't have no answers. And this comes not just from Latino citizens, come from all over, from different places that I go and visit. So there are families that now they are already in the phase of thinking if they're going to continue in business or not. And these are members, kids, wives, daughters, sons, that they have their own business and they should have the right in the land of the free, in the land of the opportunity, to do their best to raise the best for their families, for the community and the county. And I want to believe that whatever is going on is going to be for the best of this county, because there are already so many questions being asked. Because it has been proved that whatever time we come over here, those who are in favor, we double, triple, and sometimes quadruple the times and the numbers of the people and the persons that unfortunately they didn't agree. And I will ask, what is the base of a democracy? What fundaments should the rule prevail? On what is important for the majority or for a minority? And I got something in regards of a true progress, and it says, progress, the pattern in which advancement is made throughout the passage of legislation, court rulings, and other formal mechanisms that aim to promote equality, rights, and progress for all. And I want to believe that the county that I choose with my family is a hero in progress. And I want to believe that whatever is happening is going to be for the best of the county and the business owners, and not for a small group. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next I have Gennaro Hernandez. Again, sir, your name, full name and address, 3 minutes, please.
Yeah, my name is Genaro Hernandez. My address is 7818 Route 173 in Poplar Grove. And I'm asking the same question. I was thinking that in March 16, when you guys voted it, we were going to have the permits again, the rodeos, that you guys put the rules and everything. I was thinking there was done deal. And I don't know what is going on again. The rodeo is in the table again. We're trying to do everything that you asked to do it. And I don't really think that's fair what is going on, because time is going on. And we don't know if we have to schedule more events, because we don't know what is going to happen. I've been in the county for a long time. I have business in Belvedere in the county, and I've been to meetings when when people wonder what we can do to bring more revenue to the county. Well, we try. When the events that we have last year, we kind of figure out roughly how much money the events bring to Boone County. And it's around $200,000 in the summertime. Okay, we are, a small group of people that we're trying to bring money to the county. And as the other group, they are against us. And they put in videos, they put in everything in the media. I don't even know those people they bring some kind of revenue to the county to. Who are you going to listen to? The people that help in the county to grow, or the people that kind of try to destroy the county? The other thing too means, for example, a lot of the members in here, the board members, they're real nice. Some, they're not too nice. As soon as they see us, they turn their eyes around. It's like, oh man, these guys are running, they're here again. You guys represent the whole county. Means, you guys like it or not. Means, and you are a public worker, so public that serve the county. That means I think we deserve some kind of respect. And this is the only thing I want to say. Means, and I hope that you guys make your mind and everything be better for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, I have Richard Wolf. Richard, again, your name, address, and for the record in 3 minutes, sir.
Richard Wolf, 9698 Spring Road. Please reconsider to stop this animal abuse in Boone County. It has been said that if they have rules that they have to follow, these rodeo people, and they are strict rules like what we heard back in February of this year, that they're not going to come to the rodeos. They're going to go elsewhere. Well, elsewhere is right next door. Western McHenry County has the exact same setups, having these rodeos where they're pulling the steer's tail, having concerts, having dances. They have the exact same things. They're coming to Boone County because it's a lot easier, laid back, no rules. How can the injury to a steer be prevented? You're grabbing the tail, which is an extension of the backbone. The steer is running away. He's a he's an animal that's not competing because he wants to. He's there because they put him there and they yank his tail. Now, there's nothing you can do to prevent an injury. So why let them keep doing it? If there's other events they can do, then do them. But this is abuse in Boone County. And we don't need this. And if it's about business, this is going on in A1 zoning. Maybe they should be business zoning. Maybe they should do this in a business atmosphere, like the fairgrounds, someplace where the public can go and not be boxed in by hundreds and hundreds of cars and trailers and everything packed into a 10-acre A1 zoning. So please reconsider the motion for the text for the special use. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Next, I have Gracie Robles. You know the rules. Thank you.
Gracie Robles, 289 Irene Road in Kirkland. I'm here today to represent many Boone County residents as well as rodeo supporters that live outside our county. Many are watching from home because they could not be here today. After the March 16th board meeting, it was thought that there would be no more rodeo items on the agenda for at least a year. Late last week, we started to hear the rumor that rodeos were going to be on the agenda again, but it wasn't until yesterday late afternoon that it was confirmed. It's literally been a month and a few days. Why are we back here again? We haven't even been given the opportunity to show you that we can and will do better. I had an event this past weekend, and I'm sure you'll hear about it from board members that were there. We notified our vet a week in advance so that he would know to be ready for any calls. We had our bull supplier provide us with vet papers for all the steer, and we had extra staff to help us in case it was needed. At the March 16th meeting, Dara Mogenis said that you, the board, asked her to document, watch, and take note of our activities. She said that drones were brought in, but they were allowed. She said that there needed to be someone from the community watching to see what was happening at our events because you, the board, told her to bring in people like Shark. I ask, when does this become harassment? Shark has drones hovering over our properties. They sneak people into our events. They've called me a liar and a reverse racist in their videos. I am not in public office and I am not a government official. My property is open to the public only 4 days out of the year. Even then, outside of government officials, I have the right to deny entry to anyone onto my property. I was called a reverse racist, yet I have siblings who are married to white people. I have nieces and nephews who are half white and half Mexican. I'm not a reverse racist, but that's what he called me in his video. He also said that we recently covered our arena so that his drones couldn't get any footage. That's a lie. We've covered our arena years ago. And do you know why? This weekend was a perfect example, the crazy Midwest weather. On Saturday, it was almost 80 degrees and sunny. And then on Sunday, it was snowy and cold. This organization says whatever it wants to get donations because that's what they run on. The more aggressive, the more upsetting they are, the more bullying they do, gets them more money in donations. Obviously, someone here in Boone County is giving that to them. At the March meeting, I gave you financial information that estimated the economic impact to our county to be about $214,000 for the season. How many dollars is Shark generating for Boone County? Or are they only generating money for themselves? Rodeos are not my livelihood. I am a businesswoman with an actual full-time job. I now have 3 companies based out of Boone County. I don't have the time to sit in my car outside someone's house watching their comings and goings like people are doing to us. I don't have time to submit almost daily FOIA requests to Boone County departments. I don't have time to scroll through people's Facebook posts at night looking for mention of rodeos. I don't have time to be calling state representatives asking them to create bills against our activities. I choose to spend my time enjoying life with my family, my friends, and my loved ones. I am disappointed that we are back here again today. And it gives me the feeling that no matter what we do, we're never going to see the end of this because it seems like this has become an obsession to some people. I ask you, the board, how many other times in your history has a motion been made to reconsider a motion that has already been voted on? Thank you.
Thank you, Gracie. Next up, we have Brad Long. Brad, do me a favor. You're a stranger here tonight, so your name and full name and address for the record, please, in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, Brad Long, 325 South Highland Avenue, Rockford, Illinois. Thank you for your time and thank you for your service to the community. I'm a business representative for the Carpenters Union that covers Winnebago and Boone County. Although I live in Rockford, I went through my apprenticeship and got my first opportunity here in Boone County at a church that then was over 100 years old. It got hit by lightning, so I was involved in that rehab. But I'm here to speak in favor of the Duke Energy Solar Project and the jobs and opportunities it creates for carpenters. You might think, what's a carpenter have to do with solar work? Well, a lot. We're involved in the setting of the piling, the racking, and the solar panels, and along with other trades. But so obviously, electricians do the hookup, and we're working with operators and laborers as well sometimes. But there's great opportunities for new apprentices to enter the world of carpentry through solar, and this would be a great one here. I know only a portion of it's in Boone, and the larger portion is in McHenry, but that'll be a lot of jobs. We have a job that we just started, a solar project in Poplar Grove on 173 just weeks ago, and we already have 13 carpenters on site right now. I expect at least another 13 more all summer long. After going through my apprenticeship and working as a journeyman, taking this job as business rep, I'm representing many members that live in Boone County as well, but I've seen, times that are not so good and sometimes that like right now are pretty darn good for construction. And been through times where it's hard to look a carpenter in the face and tell him I've got no opportunities for him. So this project will create great opportunities for work and urge you to vote yes for it. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, sir. And it looks like the sheet. I think I had one more, didn't I? Oh, here it is, right here. All right, Brendan Andrew. Sorry, I put it up there. It was my book. Name and address for the record, sir.
Hi, Brendan Andrew. I live in 889 Willow Road in Winnetka, Illinois. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Pleasant Grove Solar Project. I'll speak later, kind of when it's on the agenda, but I had a letter from one of the landowners for the project, and he asked me to read it into the record. So I'm just going to read an excerpt, if that's okay. Dear members of the board, respectfully, I am writing to voice my support for the Pleasant Grove Solar Project. As a farmland property owner in Boone County and other counties in Illinois and Wisconsin, I believe that this solar project has so many advantages, including supporting renewable energy without any adverse pollution, property erosion, or detrimental effects to the property. In addition, these solar farms will allow the soils to regenerate nutrients, providing vibrant growing soils when they are converted back to farmland at the end of their contractual period. Duke Energy has committed to planting native prairie grasses and pollinators under the panels, which will increase soil health. Other benefits include increased tax revenue, provide an economic boost and construction jobs, support an array of various energy sources, and provide long-term jobs. In summary, I am writing to support the Pleasant Grove Solar Project. If you have any questions or would like to contact me to discuss in more detail, please do not hesitate to call me at my mobile number 262-812-6781. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to voice my opinion. Sincerely, Dean Athens. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone else for public comment? All right, moving along to the general consent items. I need a motion to approve the general consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Larson. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Road projects, we have, is Justin here tonight? I don't, is he online by any chance? Justin, are you on the line by any chance?
He's not on.
All right, those were all the agenda items anyway. All right, moving on to 8.1, Council on Aging. Ms. Patterson, do you have a report for us tonight?
I do. Just a reminder to everyone that we have it's the Jack Wolf Memorial Golf Outing on May 19th. It is going to be at Timber Point Golf Course. We are still looking for sponsorships, so if anybody is interested, please feel free to contact me, or I have a flyer with me. If you are willing to do any kind of sponsorship, we just ask that it be in by May 1st. And that is this is also their 50-year anniversary, so this is very important for the Keene Age Center because they have to do some memorial work. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but at the end of that cul-de-sac is a big memorial, and there is some significant issues with it. So there is going to be a pretty large expense in doing those repairs and getting that back on track again, especially before the 50-year anniversary open house, which is supposed to be in October.
All right. Good. Anyone have any questions for Alyssa? All right, Growth Dimensions. Pam.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I shared a report in front of you just to highlight on our dashboard. I wanted to highlight a few things. We've had 44 new business projects, and this is as of the end of last month. Actually, as of today, we're closer to 51. We have about 11 that are in the construction and stage, and we have 31 existing business projects and 17 currently in the construction stage. 32 of those projects are considered enterprise zone. I'm sorry, 69 are, we have 69 enterprise zone projects, 32 businesses. And that's over $284 million of investment in our community. We've also had 99 touch points for businesses, and that's probably an underestimate. We're trying to be more diligent about tracking all of our contacts and communication with businesses electronically. But some of these projects include Midwest Refrigeration Services, Apollo Theater, Skinnell, Rock Valley College Technology Center, Taco Bell, Murphy USA, Twin Towers, and Dollar General. We've also working with Midwest Refrigeration Services on a new project for an additional building. We're competing with Southern Wisconsin, but they indicated that they've been so welcomed here that they'd like to commit here. But of course, sometimes they have to look on the return on investment and make a business decision as well. We've also been working with the United Facilities. They're the third-party logistics company that has been, that's going to be the managing partner with General Mills Distribution Center. We've been working with them on connecting them with training programs as well as workforce opportunities for their onboarding. That's coming up starting in June, and they'll probably have their hourly employees somewhere around October. We've also been invited to follow up on a few other projects that we've submitted. We've had a lot of activity. There's been some buildings that have been empty with Stellantis, and before they're even on the market, we have businesses interested in grabbing them. So we've had a lot of activity, a lot of different types of businesses, food processing, warehousing, cold storage. So there's just a number. We're also working with the Enterprise Zone Committee to modify levels of incentives for projects based on their investment in jobs and as well as dollars. And we'll be assisting taxing bodies with an application to the state of Illinois in a public hearing following approval for ordinances and resolutions. I also wanted to take some time tonight to talk about resources for renewable energy. So in 2021, Boone Conventions has a legislative committee, and we decided not to take a position in regards to solar energy. Instead, we decided to share information in order to educate the community. Before you, I've listed some of those resources. One from talking about emerging technology in solar panels and coexisting with agriculture. We've also had myths about solar and facts about solar energy. And then we have some resources that are available from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Rural Energy for America program. These are loans and grants that are available. And in Cranes, they highlight some of the concerns and warns about shortages in the future. So at our next legislative committee, we will be reevaluating our decision and considering taking a position on renewable energy sources. And this is for the following reasons. One, legislation. The Inflation Reduction Act shows lower energy costs, increases clean air production, and reduces carbon emissions roughly by 40% by 2030. So the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act talks about extending energy and efficiency programs past 2030, expanding goals, and making important changes to support low-income homes and providing new funds. It put Illinois on the path to 100% renewable energy by 2050. And prioritizing clean energy investments, job training, hiring, and ownership and new business creation. We've seen a number of projects coming through for renewable energy. In fact, I went to a site selectors conference and the focus was energy from the site selectors, and this was just last month. Companies are increasingly looking at the availability that the community has for renewable energy sources and alternatives for high electric capacity and energy. Whether or not it's nuclear, steam, hydrogen, solar, biomass, geothermal, they're seeking ways to reduce those costs for energy and production. There are companies in Europe that are shut down due to high energy costs. Fresh produce is at an all-time high, and it's their greenhouses cannot keep open. If you look at some of the evidence in the Netherlands, a lot of their costs are just so high because they can't keep their manufacturing open. They can't maintain production and still see a profit. So some of these companies are starting to look at the U.S. Also, I wanted to share that the Stellantis strategic plan indicates they have identified 4 core targets by 2030. And number 1 is slashing the carbon emissions by half by 2030 on the path to achieving carbon net zero in 2038. What I'm saying is that we need to look at energy, renewable energy in Boone County. Because whether or not you agree with solar or other resource, it's becoming essential for us to look at, and it's essential for businesses. Without this response, we may be looking at higher costs of energy, food, housing, and so on. So I appreciate just having this conversation and hearing me out. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Pam? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Pam. Next up, CASA. Mr. Curry, anything on CASA?
Chairman, we have some big events coming up. We aren't sponsoring Build a Bike, but I always like to drop that in there. It's coming up on May 10th. Maybe we can invite them to the admin meeting to promote that. It's a great organization and function. Cards for CASA is tentatively August 20th during, I believe that's the Stroll on State. Culver's Night is April 18th, and we can always use more advocates. So if you're interested, go to Boone County CASA.org, or I think at Boone County CASA at Gmail, if you're interested. So thank you.
All right. I think the last time I looked, there's no more sponsorships for the actual bikes right now.
I think it's
all gone, but there's still sponsorships available though, correct?
Right.
Okay, good enough. All right. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Curry? Okay. Moving along then, R1, I think it was released, just some information. I mean, obviously it was out in the public. There was an article in Cranes about 2 weeks ago about just an update on Stellantis. They're looking at the possibility of locating the EV Ram pickup here. I have no direct knowledge on any official announcement on that yet. Obviously, there's still a lot of things to consider, but the word was that obviously Stellantis must have leaked that information to Cranes, because certainly no one from here did. So that's just something that's in the works. Nothing positive, completely positive or definite on that yet, but definitely something that R1 is keeping close. Anybody have any questions on that? Again, it was just an article. It was in, I think one of the local news picked it up as well. So, all right, new business, committee of the whole administration. Mr. Larson, motions, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 10.1, a motion to approve planning case RP-05-2023 Piotrowski replat.
All right, motion by Mr. Larson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Branson. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Larson.
Thank you. 10.2, a motion to approve planning case Pleasant Grove Solar LLC special use permit extension request.
All right, motion by Mr. Larson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wiltsey. Discussion among the board members. All right, I do believe, Mr. Andrews, you wanted to do a presentation. And just so you know, this may actually, this is something we don't normally do, but I told him he could have 5 minutes on a presentation here. And what we will do after that is we'll open it back up for discussion in case anyone has any questions based on what we see here. Mr. Andrews.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank you, Chairman Riley, for giving me this opportunity. We'll try to be really mindful of your time. I had put some slides together. We're going to jump around in them a little bit to try and stay under that 5 minutes. But just to reintroduce myself, I'm Brendan Andrew. I'm the developer for Pleasant Grove Solar Project with Duke Energy. And I brought with me Patrick Smith. He's a manager of engineering on our team. And really the reason I wanted to speak is I wanted to provide an update kind of on some of the changes we've made to the project since the hearing 2 weeks ago, and also have Patrick here to provide some context on some common engineering questions that I feel like I wasn't able to answer adequately at the last hearing. So I'll skip, if you guys are following along, I'm going to go to slide 3. And really, this is just to set the stage. As you guys know, solar satisfied the standards of the zoning board and county board in 2021 and is currently an approved special use on the land in question. I went through the full process, and what we're seeking is an extension of that special use. So we're not seeking additional farmland for solar at this time, just an extension of what has already been approved. In fact, if we just skip to slide 4, the next slide, this is one of the major updates I wanted to provide, is that we've heard the feedback from the county board around protection of prime farmland. And in response, we took a look back at our layout and said, okay, how much of this land do we really need to use? How much are we willing to commit to, continued ag use on? And so of the approved 170 acres, 169, we are committing to dedicating at least half of that to continued ag use. So at least 85 acres or more for continued ag use, and a maximum of 84 would be encumbered by the project. And again, that's still a maximum number. So as we continue on in time, we may be able to reduce the footprint further. I also wanted to just give some context around how we've heard some communities think about this in the context of being a land bank, right? This is actually a way, it's a temporary use. So solar can be a way to actually guard against permanent development in this I-90 corridor, rather than it becoming a subdivision or, some kind of highway truck stop or something, right? Solar will be converted back to ag land at the end of its life. So really in summary on this slide, we're trying to be as economical as possible with our footprint in response to the feedback we've heard from the board. And then just quickly, I want to touch on the next slide before I turn it over to Patrick, and that's just on the tax benefits. There was some discussion 2 weeks ago, and I did some research and just wanted to come back to the board with what I found. So the current tax rate on the parcels is, if you average it out, is $34 per acre per year. On the Boone County parcels. The year one, once the solar is installed, it will be greater than $1,000 an acre per year. So that's a 30x increase. And I don't know, what other ag parcels you're getting $1,000 an acre in tax revenue on. So I think that's a good story. It's also predictable and recession proof. Once the solar is in, it's basically just a depreciating asset, and you know exactly how much revenue you're going to get every year. It's not based on production. It's just based on the value of the upfront investment. Okay, that's the only thing I wanted to hit on this slide. So I'll turn it over to Patrick to talk about some of the more technical questions.
Hey, thank you. Go to slide 8, please. Representative photos. Yep, right there. I just wanted to level set quickly on what we're talking about. So when I use terms, we know what we're looking at. This is just a few representative photographs. That's a real site that Duke Energy really owned and really operates. I've been out there. And so that's what we're talking about when we say solar panel. That's what we're talking about when we say grassland prairie. That's real vegetation that we plant on sites all across the country. So it looks, just like a prairie would. And then that's about the row spacing you see between the panels. It's something between 16 to 22 feet, enough that you could drive a truck through for maintenance. You go to the next slide. That's important because a solar field actually improves the runoff and erosion of a site. If you think about, there's the American Society of Civil Engineers published a study on this called the hydrologic response of solar farms, where they look at turning an agricultural field into a solar farm. Did it increase or decrease the post-construction runoff? And what they found was that it decreased the post-construction runoff. It's because an agricultural field is bare earth some of the year and then row crop the rest of the year, where it has a shallow root structure, as opposed to a perennial year-long native grass where it goes deeper root structure and more infiltration. You end up with more absorption, less erosion, a higher peak time, so less runoff. Next slide, please. And then just quickly on panel durability, the panels are extremely robust. They have a 30-year warranty on them. They're rated for high wind speeds, minimum of 125 miles an hour. We've got them on sites in Florida and North Carolina that routinely get hit by hurricanes and have no issues weathering those. And then the panels are encapsulated in tempered glass, which doesn't shed small degrees. So they don't fracture. There's not a bunch of glass flying everywhere. You could bend one in half and you wouldn't end up, breaking it, and you wouldn't end up with a bunch of glass everywhere. And the reason that's important is because it means that they don't leach. And how do I know that they don't leach? Well, they go through the EPA's testing for that, the toxicity characteristics leaching procedure. And the way the EPA tests to see if something leaches is they take it, they grind it into a powder, they run it through a nitric acid bath, and then they test that water to see if it's leached. So if it leaches in that, then you've got leaching versus that's not going to happen out in the real world. You're not going to grind a solar panel down and run it in a nitric acid bath. And solar panels don't exceed the EPA threshold on any hazardous materials, and oftentimes they are undetectable using that method. Additionally, if you consider that solar is offsetting fossil fuel generation, it's actually taking hazardous materials out of the air like cadmium and lead. And then sometimes we hear about PFAS. PFAS is not used in modern solar panel manufacturing. And Brendan?
Yeah, just quickly to sum up. So I just wanted to reiterate, right, this is an approved use. We're asking for an extension, not a new permit. We've made some changes to reduce the project footprint in light of some of the concerns raised by the county board, while still generating 20 to 30 times the tax revenue that you're getting off the current parcels. And lastly, this project can help to actually preserve farmland from permanent development by allowing landowners to make more money off of their land now, and rather than looking for another higher and better use and putting it into some other type of permanent development. And it will be returned to ag land at the end of its life. So I thank you for your consideration. And
Sure. Anyone have any questions or any further discussion? Mr. Mueller. Sorry about that, Brett. Go ahead.
So obviously this project has been going on for 2 years. Has there been any improvements, payments to landowners, or vegetative sites set up that you guys have? We're looking to see if you've started anything on this.
So we can't really start construction on the site until we have approval from that's really the reason we're here for a delay, is because we're waiting on the interconnection process to finish. And that's when we would be able to go out there and construct. We do pay the landowners for the option to develop their land. And then once we're able to get that approval to connect to the high voltage grid, which is the study process that's been delayed, that's when we would initiate construction. And we want landowners to be able to do exactly what they're doing while we're developing the project, so that there's no encumbrance on them at all during the development process. And then when we move to construction, we would plant those native grasses prior to construction to establish the roots, and then we drive the piles in after that, basically into what's already a prairie or a meadow.
One more question. So when you're driving these into the earth, you're going in 6-8 feet, correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding, Patrick.
Yeah, that's about right.
What's the studies done by having those there, letting the rain and groundwater, if there's any contaminants that do come off these solar panels? Has there been any studies that try to mitigate? Because this is a precious aquifer, because the water from Boone County does feed a lot of other areas in northern Illinois. What would your guys' standards be to protect the groundwater?
We've done like soil testing around the site, and you really don't see hazardous materials coming out of these panels. I feel strongly about that. The toxicity characteristic leaching procedure, like I said, simulates an environment way worse than you would ever actually see on a site. Even if we did have a panel break, we would know immediately. We've got sensors on these things. We know when things are down, and we'd want to replace it. We want to keep it running as good as possible. As far as piles that get driven, you're not going to see any increased infiltration any more than you would see in the dirt around it. The dirt is going to infiltrate anything more than a pile would.
One more point is that that's one of our conditions of the original approval, is to do soil testing every year. And then if there's no detectable materials for cadmium and lead and a few other things that the board was concerned about the first time, we could move to every 2 years. But we will be doing that testing throughout the life of the project to make sure of that.
Okay, Ms. Branson?
I understand where Brent is coming from, but more than the concern is not so much what's coming off the panel that's leaching down into the groundwater. It's what about all the pesticides that you're putting down? Because it's common sense that, water runs downhill and it's going to take the path of least resistance. So if you've got pipes that are going 6 or 8 feet down into the ground, where your aquifer is quite high, like, you're not far from Spring Township, which is called Spring Township for a reason. How do you prevent the pesticides from following the trail of the pipes right down into the water?
I think one of the things I'd say to that is something Patrick said, which there's actually should be less runoff off of this site than there would be off the existing ag field. I think I can't say that we don't use pesticides in controlling the vegetation on the site, but I do know that we try to establish a native grass that will flourish and prevent weeds, but we do have to control for weeds. But there's not, I guess that would not be a pesticide, but I don't know that we use other pesticides on the site. But even if we did, there's, there's less runoff from this site than there would be off of an existing ag field.
I think the AMA has said something about judicious use of pesticides. We're not going out there and, like you said, at most we would spot use it where it's needed. We'd like to not use it at all if we could.
Yeah, I understand that our aquifers are very precious. And if once they get contaminated, you can't uncontaminate them.
Yeah,
I have to be very judicial about protecting them, especially given the fact that we are the main recharge area for all of northeastern Illinois and some of the counties west of us.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring Patrick here, was to speak to just the runoff and the absorption should actually increase in a permanent, basically grassland prairie that is under the solar panels. And I think you'll actually see that there's no degradation or additional runoff from the site because, again, this is something that's got a year-round crop that's going to absorb water into the soil and not run off into the spring.
I don't know that I follow that, because if you're going to put pesticides down, the pesticides are going to run when they get wet from the rain.
No, I follow what you're saying. And I think that like we said, the AMA dictates that we need to be judicious. We're not going to be spraying it everywhere. We use off the shelf. We're not, getting any specialty product that's, any worse than a Roundup or something. So it's, we're not going to be spraying tons of pesticides out there, and hopefully, anything too bad we catch in the soil testing that we're going to be doing.
And I also want to commend you for hearing our concerns and adjusting the size of your project. I very much do appreciate that. Your project, if this moves forward, are you still going to enter your conditions that were put in by the ZBA? Does that still remain?
Yeah, so what's on the table is exactly what was approved the first time around and just extending that. So all of those conditions and we are ready to comply with all of those conditions.
And this is your second extension?
First extension.
The first extension. I thought this started like 2 years ago.
There was a 2-year period granted in the special use.
I got 2 years from.
Right.
And this is not going to even hope to get started for another till 26?
Yeah, we had gone in and asked for a 3-year extension, but the statute limits the board to granting 1-year extension. So unfortunately, the interconnection delays are significant. And so we would have preferred to just do it all at once. But yeah, we will know a lot more on the interconnection process by the end of the year and how long it's going to take. The projections that PJM has is that we won't get our interconnection agreement until the end of 2025. So that would be about the earliest we could start construction, which is where that 3-year time frame came from.
It's most unfortunate.
We agree.
And I had also heard that you would have somebody here from McHenry County tonight, since this is both counties from their county board.
Pete Austin is here, the county administrator. You have a question for Pete?
I just wanted to hear what the man had to say.
Oh, thank you. I don't have any particular prepared remarks. I'm Peter Austin. I'm the county administrator in McHenry County, Becky's counterpart. Your concerns are valid, and they're everything that I think that have been raised and been addressed. In McHenry County, we are looking at 2,000 acres of solar panels, just to put it in context. And I think about what's important to say there, and I think Pam noted some of those things. As we prepare our infrastructure for the future, this is a pretty important thing. The federal government, the state government has made clear the goal on reducing carbon emissions. And I think it was Thursday morning in Woodstock, we had a committee of the whole meeting, and one of the county board members in an unrelated conversation about economic development and about taxes. said to me, so what can we most directly do as a county board to lower property taxes? What's something where you can draw almost a straight line between an action the county board takes and improving the tax situation? And my quick answer was infrastructure. All the money that we spend on infrastructure, all the planning we do on infrastructure, setting the table for business. That's really a direct line between actions that the county board can take and helping to reduce residential property tax. We in McHenry County, and I believe you in Boone County, have a strong desire to bring business to this I-90 corridor. And I don't see any better tool than what these guys are proposing, to set the table for the future of what energy needs are going to be on this I-90 corridor. The state and federal government have made clear the businesses that want to site between O'Hare and Rockford, they're going to be looking for these deals where they can check these carbon emission boxes. And you're setting the table, if this solar plant can come through, for those businesses to be able to accomplish that. We've invested a lot of money in McHenry County in that southeastern part of the county. We built an interchange with the tollway and IDOT at 23. We have a lot riding on this. And we need regional partners, and I'm hoping that Boone County can join us in this because I think it really does set the table for what we both want in the future. Any questions about what we're doing?
No, I think you speak very eloquently.
You raised a point about conditions that your ZBA may have put on, and I have no idea what those are. But this is an extension. This is a simple extension of those things. We have conditions of our own that we were put on those 2,000 acres that we cited. The reality is, since you passed those agreements with those sites, the state has changed the legislation. And if this extension is denied, they could come right back here, and your hands are really tied in your ability to stop this. So I would encourage you to consider if that issue. The limited tools you have exist in those ZBA agreements that were passed 2 years ago, and the state hasn't helped you in giving you any more tools.
They have not.
No, it hasn't. And we share a lot of those concerns. That Coon Creek Drainage District it's failing, and it really needs attention. And we're relying on these guys and their engineering to make a lot of dramatic improvements in the tiling there and to improve the drainage district. And, and we're looking forward to those improvements. And, that's why I'm here. You can tell I don't have any particular notes. I'm here because my board voted unanimously in favor of this 2 years ago. And we've already approved the extension.
Mr. Curry.
You're up here bragging about removing a resource. To me, that is absolutely sad. We are built on a great resource of agriculture. And yet, instead of finding a place that doesn't replace a resource, like putting a tofu plant on a fishery, makes absolutely no sense. These big infrastructures that you speak of will never be powered by solar panels. You've destroyed 2,000 acres and now are asking us for a piece of our property, which I'm going to vote approval of because of what lies on that you guys have worked on it. So I will support this. I'm not happy about it. But to sit here and tout a failed democratic state that we live in on bills that are passed that we lay down and take without any fight makes me sad to live in this state, because that's not what we are here for. To unanimously approve 2,000 acres of chewed up agriculture, if that makes you proud, then you and I are very different people. Our state passes bills every day that are absolutely biased and only passed because of unfair and very biased legislation. Okay? It takes people like you and your board and us and our board to fight that legislation so that we can actually fight for a resource that is important. And I hope we agree on that.
Oh, absolutely. And we're already working on that. Our staff.
You've already given 2,000 acres without a blink of an eye. So you didn't work on it.
If you'd like to hear my answer, I'll give it to you.
I don't. Thank you, though.
All right. Anyone else? Mr. Wiltsey?
I like this a week ago or whenever it was, we just talked about it. And they've done They listened to us, showed us the different footprint. There's now 85 acres of ag left. And I think they've taken the steps that they need to do. Now, remember, this is just an extension. We already 2 years ago went through all of those A, B, C, G through F, and found that they had done the right things to be granted a special use. This is just an extension without any showing of any change or any other problem. This extension should be granted. And I think they have shown us, and particularly the slide 9 there on the less runoff that is going to be there. And that is something that's good. And this is a way to lock this down for ag 20 or 30 years from now when they have to take these panels down. And it will still be there and it'll be restored. And I just think this is something that we need to do. And I will be voting yes.
Ms. Branson.
I'm going to go a little off topic here for just a brief minute, but I wanted to take the time, since we have the administrator here from McHenry County, and let everybody know that when I was on the county board the first go around, I worked really, really hard to get some things implemented to protect our aquifers and our water resources for this county. And I discovered, because not only did the IEPA declare our county sensitive for groundwater contamination and that we are to be prioritized for protecting that groundwater, but also we have almost nothing in place ordinance-wise or in our codes or anything to actually do the job. And we have really neglected funding the studies that we need in order to bring ourselves where we need to be. And now on the flip side of this, McHenry County is a million miles ahead of us on this project because they've been working on it for years. And their county was kind enough to come out here to our county to up-team meetings to try and help us with our problem. And they're doing that out of the goodness of their heart for intergovernmental cooperation and to support each other. And for that, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And I hope we can continue to work together on our projects.
You're welcome. Water doesn't know the boundaries.
Illinois. Thank you.
Mr. Curry.
Ms. Branson, what problem are they helping us on?
When I was on before, we reenacted the WPPA, the Water Protection Preservation Alliance. And we started going through, looking at all of our ordinances and zoning and how to attack the problem from a governmental standpoint. And teaching us the process to follow, because we really don't know what we're doing. And they came in, they helped us with creating like a SARA map, a surface aquifer recharge, something that shows where we should be putting our industry versus where we are. So they're not putting on top of the direct aquifers and keeping things like that out of Spring Township. And they're literally holding our hand and helping us with this. When I lost the reelection, I kind of turned it over to Sherry Bartell, who won, and our county administrator, which unfortunately had a major stroke. And I think everything at that point just kind of got dropped. I don't really know what happened after that, because then was in my bad accident and kind of got out of the loop of things. And now that I'm back on the board, I need to go back in and readdress those issues and finish the project. But we relied very heavily on McHenry County, and they really, really helped us. And for that, thank you. And I know that's a side note, but he's here and I want to say it while we got him here.
All right. Anyone else? Mr. Thornburg.
Just to be clear, I am a proponent of solar. I am also a proponent of all of your renewable energy projects. I'm just not a proponent of putting solar on agricultural land. There are too many places you can put solar that's not going to take away from the agricultural field. Boone County's full of places. There's one just down the road here that you could put one, but so far nobody's even tried. As far as the argument you guys just gave about how much this is going to help the county, I heard the argument back in 2012
when developers were coming in here telling us how all the houses they were gonna build was gonna improve our living here in Boone County, how we were gonna be so rich and all this good stuff. All they were trying to do is saturate our county with houses. And a lot of people said you can't stop these people, but we did. Because when you start building things that takes away from one thing just so you can get another, you're not really gaining anything. You're just trading one bad apple for another. And I'm not saying solar is bad. I'm just saying put it in the right place. So far, you haven't done that. So far, you're taking agricultural land and saying solar is better, and it's not, because you're taking food away from us to give us electricity. Electricity isn't going to do us any good if we haven't got any food. And I don't have a problem with putting solar on a dump. I don't have a problem putting solar on a waterway that we can't use for anything else. I do have a problem with putting it on agricultural land.
I think that's what we tried to hear, those concerns, and take them seriously and try to reduce our footprint, because really, we were approved on 170 acres, and that's why we made some of the changes that we did to the layout. But yeah, I appreciate your comments, and that's why we're trying to be responsive. We're trying to work with the county, address the concerns of the board as they've changed over the years. But really, we're trying to make an investment in the county and be responsive to your concerns. So thanks.
Anybody else? Mr. Larson?
So I'm hearing this, the interconnection agreements become like a great unknown here. If the connection point happens to be in McHenry County, would you still use the area in Boone County?
So the connection point right now is located in Boone because there's pre-existing plans to build a substation right off the property. So that's the reason, frankly, that we located some of the project here to begin with. The interconnection study process doesn't really determine where you're connecting. It's more how much you might have to pay to connect to the grid. And that's where the uncertainty is on the study, is just that there's, they have to do additional studies to see, they do a lot of studies on how the system's going to interact across the whole grid. And so if there's an upgrade that's needed miles away because of our project here, that's what would come out in the interconnection studies. And that's where they reformed their process, and we're basically back to square one on those studies.
I don't know if you know the answer. So yeah, you mentioned there's a permit for a peaker plant there. With the zero carbon goal in the future, near future, do you see them actually building a peaker plant there?
I can't really speak to it. I don't believe they are in the interconnection queue any longer, but I don't know any specifics about their plan, whether or not they're going to reapply or what.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, I just want to make a couple of comments. I've spent a lot of time in the last week on the phone talking to a lot of people about this issue. I think I've heard the word interconnection more than I care to. But one of the concerns that I brought to Mr. Andrew and his team was primarily about interconnection and its need to be here in Boone County. And we talked about several different options for getting that connection done. And I think we talked about two different things. We talked about having no solar panels, and we talked about scaling back the project. A year ago, I was one of the two votes that voted no on the extension. And I explained to Mr. Andrew that the four of us from District 3, we had to run a campaign on farmland preservation. So it's near and dear to our hearts, and it is certainly one to me. But when I look at what you guys have proposed in this new plan, I must say I'm impressed. And I guess until it's built, I won't see, but may not even see with the crops growing, in the growing season anyway, we may not even be seeing these panels because of the vegetation and the crops that you got. I'm assuming all these gray areas in that slide, let me pull it back up. Yeah, those are where the panels are going, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And then the green hashing is the ag available for ag use or.
And you think that could be corn and soybean can be grown in those areas, not just?
That's what's grown today, yeah.
All right, and that's some of the concerns that I talked to a couple of landowners in McHenry County as well. So as much as I was against this a week ago, I've what I'll call I've done my homework, and I really do think that you guys have presented a plan that I personally can live with. So I will be in support of this project.
Thank you, Chairman.
We will, and we'll hopefully, I know your construction plans are a little ways in the future and probably be back for another request at this in 12 months, but who knows what will happen between now and then. So because it was approved before, because we're looking at legislation changes that we may or may not be able to control, I personally feel that we need to continue this project and help them out the best we can. So anybody else have any other comments before we vote?
I just had a quick question. And what would the landowner be doing with this land if the solar project wasn't going on it?
You'd be farming it.
It's in ag right now.
It's A1 agriculture.
Okay. Well, I mean, but he would complete that and he would carry on with what he was doing as opposed to.
I guess that would depend on the time of the year that you guys decide to start construction, correct?
Right. I mean, they'll continue in ag use until we go to construction. And what we've done with the layout is try as much as possible to leave swaths of land. There are some, thin areas here and setbacks, but try to leave a large swath of area where it would still make sense and somebody can still farm it as much as possible and not just leave the areas around the panels.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Thornberry?
I just have one quick question.
Yes.
When I was on the agriculture and land easement program here, we were given some designs for solar, where the solar project at farmland, where you could still farm. You could put the solar in there and still farm it. And I don't mean with hay.
Right.
I mean actual corn and soybeans and stuff like that. So far, I haven't seen anything like that from any of the solar people that have come before us. Everything you've got are like what you showed up there, like down by the ground, no chance in heck for farming it, unless you just wanted to put hay or something down. Why aren't we seeing some where they can work together?
I think there's a lot of momentum towards that right now. It's called, they're calling it agrivoltaics, agriculture and photovoltaics coexisting. We're definitely trying to figure it out. One version of agrivoltaics that you'll see a lot, it's not growing crops, but it's grazing sheep. So in a lot of places where it's not maybe prime farmland, it's more of a grazing use. They'll graze sheep under the panels. And that's easy because they can graze under the panels. They don't climb on them. So that's kind of low hanging fruit. And we're doing that on some of our operating projects, just to, again, kind of continue some sort of agricultural use and allow continued use of the land. I would say one of the challenges with kind of what you mentioned is you have to lift the panels up, and that is a lot more steel, a lot more expensive. And so, for us being a wholesale power provider, cost is kind of king at the end of the day, and we want to keep our costs low. And we haven't found a way to make that economical yet, but I will say we have commissioned a study with Northwestern University, actually, where they're looking at some of our sites to try and propose crop mixes and things that could work under those panels. And there's a lot of benefits to it in some of the research, but I would say the economic question is still unanswered.
Mr. Mueller.
So one question, what's your largest currently operating solar project right now?
Right now we have a 250 megawatt project in Texas. We got another 400 megawatt one in Indiana that'll be starting construction sometime in the next couple of years.
Your 200 megawatt one in Texas, how much money does that generate for the company a year, gross?
I'm not sure. Yeah. But I mean, basically the way we look at it is we're earning a return on investment. So it's a large capital outlay on the front end, and then it pays back that capital over time, plus a return on investment like you'd expect, from your stock portfolio or any other business.
If you could, the next time you come back next year when you're coming back for your extension. Could you please have that information? I'd like to know what as a company you generate as a whole for a project for 1 year. I want to know for economic reasons, just for the public in general, how much money you'd make off of a large project.
Yeah.
So it can be.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'll see what we can share on our projects. I mean, the financials are, kind of what they are, but I'll just tell you, most of it is paying back that original investment upfront. So, it's a $300 million investment upfront, and then that gets paid back over 30 or 40 years. So just do the math quickly. You need to make at least $10 million a year over 30 years, to get that investment back.
Okay, anyone else? All right, seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brett Mueller,
Well,
I'm sorry.
no.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
Wiltie,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Yes.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen, for your extra work that you've done to get this project moving along, all right?
Chairman.
Yes, yes.
5 minutes.
Take a 5-minute break, sure, why not? We'll take a 5-minute break, be back, everybody, at just before 8 o'clock. right, let's get going, folks. Mr. Larson, would you go ahead with the next item 10.3, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 10.3, I motion to approve planning case SUP-16-2022 Van Laar special use permit extension request.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Larson. I need a second, please.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wiltsey. Sorry. Any discussion? All right, we'll take a roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brett Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Bonnie Riley.
Yes. My motion carries. Mr. Larson.
Item 10.4, I motion to approve ordinance 23-14, planning case SUP-07-2023, Heritage Kennel Boarding Breeding Special Use.
A motion by Mr. Larson. Do I have a second, please? Second by Mr. Mueller. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brett Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Yes.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Ryan Curry.
Motion carries. Mr. Larson.
Item 10.5, I motion to approve ordinance 23-15, planning case SUP-08-2023, IL Solar 9000 LLC, care of Lightstar Renewables.
Motion by Mr. Larson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wiltsey. Any discussion? Ms. Branson.
Yeah, at committee level, I voted for this, but after the committee level, I was looking through some research. And I stumbled across the Flora neighborhood plan, this book that the county put out. And I started looking through it and I discovered a couple paragraphs that I want to read to you. It says, the I-90 tollway corridor is identified as a critical development area in the adopted 99 Boone County Comprehensive Plan. Specifically, Los Locale was identified as a tollway coordinator area designated as the main focus of economic development efforts for Boone County on the comprehensive plan's community character planning area map. The same map calls for the preservation of rural character and agricultural lands to the south of the tollway corridor area. And furthermore, if the next paragraph down says the land use plan map calls for a combination of light and heavy industrial uses in the area north of the tollway and west of Stone Quarry Road, commercial uses in the area between the tollway and 20 between Tripp Road and Johnson Road, and a combination of office park and planned mixed-use developments south of the tollway and around the proposed new tollway interchange, passenger rail stop, or whatever in the vicinity of Irene Road. Existing single-family subdivisions south of Graham Road and Coon Road are recognized, but this is not the use plan to expand. Areas south of those roads are planned for long-term agricultural and rural character preservation. And if you look on board docs here, the fifth item down, let me find it here, is the map. It comes up here quickly here. Oh, wrong item, sorry. Fat fingers here. This proposed area is south of Graham Road. And the way I'm reading this, I think there was an error somewhere in the planning or the process going forward. But unfortunately, I don't think this is specified that it should be used for solar. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention because it's right there in black and white in the Flora neighborhood plan. And for that reason, I'm gonna say no.
Walbert?
I'd like to thank Ms. Branson for her homework. As you remember, I made the same comment in the committee, and I would have to agree with those documents.
Anyone else? Mr. Wiltsey?
My recollection is this is one that will actually feed the local grid. Second place that the solar panels would rotate so that there would be a chance for other crop or heat, as was mentioned earlier. And that the footprint of this was also smaller than the whole area. And for all those reasons, and the fact that we can get this done before the new legislation takes effect, I think it's wise for us to approve this.
Anyone else? Mr. Curry?
I guess I just don't understand, like, we all come on here claiming to cherish this ag land, and then a bill is passed without even a response to that bill. We just blanketly approve everything that's set in front of us because could happen. So realize that when it comes re-election time, because I will be extremely loud for everybody that's voting to chew up farmland. Remember that. Remember who you were representing while you sit up here.
Anyone else? Mr. Curry, I must say, I echo your sentiments. I know exactly what you're talking about, but, and I don't agree with what's been forced on us, and we're going to be discussing that, in meetings very soon as well. But hopefully we come up with a plan that can set forth the rules and keep as much control over these projects as we possibly can. So exactly what you're talking about. I appreciate your comment. Anyone else? Madam Clerk, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Southwest.
Brett Mueller,
No.
Frank Schneider,
No.
Dave Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
No.
Sherry Branson,
No.
Dana Logston,
Yes.
Marion Thornberry,
No.
Rodney Riley,
No.
Brian Curry,
No.
Ray Larson.
No.
I don't believe that motion fails. All right. All right, we'll move along to 10.6. Madam State's Attorney, would you explain the procedure on that for us, please?
Sure. On a motion to reconsider, based on our county code along with Robert's rules, anyone to make a motion to reconsider a topic, it has to be someone in the prevailing vote the first time around. So someone who voted yes, or no, it was no. The no's won on the motion last month. It had to be either done at last month's meeting or this month's meeting. So there were 6 no votes. So it was brought to administration's attention that this was a possibility that someone would want to make a motion to reconsider, and therefore it was on the agenda. Otherwise, we can't vote on something. So I think the floor would be open to someone in that, of those 6 people who voted no last month on the text amendment to section 4.2 of our code regarding temporary use permits and special events. If anyone would like to make a motion to reconsider that.
Anyone want to make that motion?
I don't know if I voted no or not, but if I did, I'll make that motion.
I don't believe you voted no, sir.
You did not vote.
Anybody else?
Could I have some discussion before?
No, we got to get the motion out first. Mr. Schneider?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Snyder. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wiltsey. Any other discussion? And again, this discussion tonight will only be on the motion to reconsider, not the actual ordinance and the verbiage of that ordinance. That won't be a discussion for tonight. This is strictly on bringing it back for further discussion. If you're going to put it
Sure,
differently.
if I could just,
Yes.
just to clarify for everyone here at the meeting, that if the motion to reconsider is granted, this will be placed on the meetings for next month at the admin meeting and then would be moved on to the county board. There would be no discussion regarding this tonight because we couldn't give notice to everybody to participate. So the notice will be, again, presented so that people can participate in the discussions regarding the text amendment, just like it was done in March.
So with that being said, is there any further discussion? Yes, Ms. Patterson?
Can I get clarification? So in opening this up, we move it forward to May, then we have to have a decision, like it has to be voted on.
That's correct. According to our code, there has to be a final vote the following month after the motion to reconsider is granted.
Ms. Patterson, go ahead.
So my concern is that in all of the information that I've gathered in this, I feel that it is very important that we have an ad hoc. We had an ad hoc last year and made headway, but I think that there are still things that we can do. And obviously, as everybody has talked about, things that we can do better. I don't want to be rushed. If we open this up right now and we have an ad hoc, we have to have all of the answers by the meeting next month. If we do not open this up, my understanding is that we can have an ad hoc, and if we come up with changes, we can take those changes through ZBA again and have that meeting in June or July so that we are taking the time that we need so that we're not sitting here again next year and the year after that and the year after that. We're actually resolving the problems that are at hand. Because it's not just the tailing, it's also the sound. Like there is a whole gamut of things, and we are not going to resolve the problem by opening it up and rushing this to get it done next month. If we leave it as it is, do the ad hoc, make the changes, follow the procedures, and vote on it when it's appropriate, I think that is the best way to handle this.
Anybody else have a comment? Ms. Branson?
I think it is very rare that you get the opportunity to take a wrong and turn around and make it right. And I think it takes a lot of backbone to stand up here and say, we made some votes and we really did not like the way that we voted on an issue, and we got it wrong, and we need to correct it and get it right. And I talked to numerous board members after our last meeting, and none of us that I talked to was happy with the outcome of this meeting or that vote. And for that reason, I think it's very important that we have the motion to reconsider. And we can work on some issues. We can work it out by the next meeting. There's no reason we can't work it out by the next meeting and come up to an agreement that we can all live with, that we're all happy with, and act like adults and make it happen and get this done with, because it's been dragging on for months. But we need to get it right.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Curry, yes.
It has, I agree, been dragging on actually a year now. And we get it right was what we voted on. So is what getting it right now equate to repeating the vote until it goes in the favor of certain opinions? Because I had no problem with my vote last time. I had no remorse over my vote last time. I stand by my vote last time. And now because we don't like it, now we're going through this. So is that how we're going to operate from now on? I mean, people plan their summers, people plan everything. We as a group are elected to make these decisions. The decision was made and now we're back doing this shit all over again. Like, it's going to go into the media. It's going to go everywhere. We're going to have 400 people in here. We're going to fight. Everything's going to get crazy again. You just opened up a brand new can of worms and it's going to drag on again. So congrats.
Anyone else? Mr. Wahlberg, yes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Riley. I have to agree with Mr. Curry and Ms. Patterson. I feel, and even Ms. Branson, I mean, you're correct. There are things that we do need to change. I'll admit that. There were some good points to what we had. There were some bad points, but we did that a year ago during the month of May. We met every Monday, 4 weeks in a row. We made a lot of improvements. We had the ability to deny a permit in the current ordinance that we have today that we didn't even really have prior to a year ago. So I agree that there are some changes that need to be made, but I would too be very much in favor of moving to an ad hoc committee where we look at individuals from the board that were on both sides and we come up with the best results. Because as Mrs. Patterson said, she has done probably the most homework of any of us on the board. And there's a lot of things there that we aren't even considering. We aren't even talking about that we could add to make this better for whether it be some type of a standardized animal plan or safety, all that consideration. That just takes time, and it's going to take some time to do that. So I'm not in favor of doing this.
Mr. Thornberry?
I think our biggest problem with this is we got too much garbage and not enough practical common sense involved. We started this whole process because of animal cruelty. Animal cruelty is not even in it anymore. You're talking about stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with animal cruelty. And the whole problem started with deer tailing, and now people are saying, well, we got to make that legal because Illinois doesn't have a law about it, blah, 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 blah. I don't care what Illinois does. This is Boone County. We are here to protect the animal. I've done a lot of research too, because we were told to make sure we knew what we were talking about when we came back with this stuff.
Okay. Mr. Thornberry, I hate to interrupt you. I know you're on a roll, but we have to remember, we're not getting into the nits and grits of this thing. We're just talking about the motion to reconsider. So if you want to continue, that's fine, but let's keep it narrowed to that topic. I know where you're headed and I understand that, but we have to keep it narrowed to what the topic at hand is, motion to reconsider.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I'm all for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Patterson?
If I could add another thing, I went to, Rodney was there as well, to the rodeo on Saturday at Mrs. Roblay's place. And there were already things that we had talked about that were done. I thought the event was run well. I already had talked to Mr. Wiltsey, like the things that we did last year as far as parking and that type of a thing worked out very well. The sand in the arena, we had talked about that, the electric cattle prod. So there are things that are already in the works of things to make things safer and better for everybody, where these people can still run their businesses. And in my mind, this actually all started because of a noise ordinance, not because of tailing. The noise ordinance started, or the noise complaints started, and then after the drones started flying over, then the tailing started to become an issue.
Okay.
They both are an issue, so we need to address them both, and we need time to do that.
Anyone else? All right, I kind of looked at this myself in the same as everybody else has talked about. But I really think that the reason that I pushed for the motion to reconsider or suggested it is because I think there was some things in that body of words that we looked at last month. And I think that there's some things in there that can be tweaked, that can be put into place. Like you said, Ms. Patterson, are already doing some of those things. So let's, instead of rebuilding the whole thing, let's at least get through some of the things that we can all live with, I guess, is the comment I'm going to make. Some of the rest of it, tailing, that kind of stuff, that I have no issue. Maybe we need to look at that in an ad hoc committee. That's something that can be tabled for now as far as this goes. But I think just throwing everything out that we did last month, is a disservice to all the other agencies that are, all the other boards that help try to put this legislation together. And I think if we just look at it and take those pieces apart and try to get some of that through, I think we're moving forward in the right direction. And if there's other stuff that we can't come to an agreement on, I'm all for it. I'll put an ad hoc committee together and we can study this, the rest of the summer when everything else is done and we can come to some kind of a conclusion. But I just hate to take the work that we've done and just put it all aside for now. That's my take on the whole thing. So, yeah, Ms. Patterson, go ahead.
Part of the reason too is I feel like Gracie had her rodeo. There's another rodeo scheduled, I think, in a couple of weeks, if that still moves forward. It's important to go.
Right, I don't disagree.
And if that's 2 weeks from now, then we're down to 2 weeks. And if you're willing to take the tailing off, that is one of the biggest issues, but we still haven't addressed the sound. And this in the ZBA, like none of that is addressed. And so I feel like instead of taking care of everything, let's take care of it all instead of nitpicking here and nitpicking there, because we're wasting people's time. I mean, people are here on both sides. Like people are upset and I understand both sides of this. So I don't want to go at this again in July, August, September, or next year. I want to take the time and I want to do it right. And I want to be able to go to some more rodeos. I want to be able to see how other people are handling things so that we're making the right decisions. Because we're deciding things for people and we don't even know how the process is run at one of their events. I just think that it's important to see the whole picture.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Mueller?
One point, with us going to, I would say to the participants out here, write down everybody's name that's here on the board. And when they come up to your events, allow us in so that way we can see, so we don't get denied. But I think, like Ms. Patterson says, we need to do our more homework. There's things that I voted no against on the amendment because I didn't like, there's some wording in there that needs to be changed. But I think with Mr. Wahlberg and everybody else, I think the ad hoc committee is the right way to go at adding on to this, because we can make it we can take a amendment and add to the special use permit. We can get things that we need done through that process instead of opening this up. So.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Snyder.
There's been discussions with participants and stuff too, that they think there's some things that we can work with that, that we all agree are good things to do, good ways to go to improve with what you guys are doing and to try and keep all these problems. And we want to make it right. And instead of doing, basically, pardon my French, but instead of doing a half-assed job, let's do it right, guys. And if nothing else, be an example for other counties to show them that we're willing to do what we need to do. These people have the rights to do this stuff too, and I understand that. But we want to make sure it's done right so that we're not causing problems to the neighbors. We're not causing problems to the animals. So we need to, like I say, we got a bit more. And I think, with Brent and Mr. Wahlberg and that, if we do an ad hoc, I think that would probably be the best way to go, where we can get everybody involved a little bit more and get it hammered out so that everybody's happy. We're not going to make everybody happy, but we'll be a lot closer than what we are now.
Anybody else? Ms. Branson?
Yeah, if you want to know all of our names, addresses, phone numbers, and all of that information, there's a little red book on the desk right over there. It's got all of it in it. So you can know who wants to come to your door.
Yeah, they're not up to date.
Hang on, don't have it in there because it's not up to date.
Hang on.
Should have.
Madam Clerk, would you clarify that for us, please?
Yeah, so I do those every summer. So anybody that was in the November election is not in there until this summer. So it won't be in there.
Online.
But it's on the website, the information. I've gotten many calls from people on both sides. So our numbers are out there. By all means, we're more than accessible to all of you.
Seemed like a good idea.
Anybody else? All right, seeing no other discussion, Madam Clerk, would you take the roll and explain one more time? We are voting to reconsider the motion.
If you vote yes.
Right.
The motion to reconsider would be granted and it will be on next month. If you vote no, the motion will die and it would have to be submitted as a text amendment to the regional planning, ZBA, county board.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
No.
Elisa Patterson,
No.
Tom Walberg,
No.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Yes.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
No.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brett Mueller.
No.
That motion carries. All right. Got some work to do, folks. All right, thank you. Committee of the Whole Finance. Mueller, you make the motion?
Yeah.
11.1?
Approve the claims and understanding that Carl Johnson abstains from the voting on all claims presented by Charles, Northern Illinois Service, Core and Maine, all claims submitted by the Boone County Highway Department, and claims submitted by any county department regarding sewage, stormwater, construction, and excavation.
All right, motion by Mr. Mueller. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Schneider. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Dave Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brett Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Mueller?
11.2, motion to approve the proposal from industrial appraisal.
I have a motion by Mr. Mueller. Can I have a second, please? Second by Mr. Thornberry. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brett Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey,
Aye.
Motion carries.
11.3, motion to approve ARPA funding spending.
Motion by Mr. Mueller. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wiltsey. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
No.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Mueller?
11.4, motion to approve life insurance proposal from Viola.
Motion by Mr. Mueller. Is there a second, please?
Second.
I'm sorry, who said the second?
Wiltsey.
Mr. Wiltsey is the second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Elisa Patterson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to 11.5, motion to approve proposal from Savada Group Architects for conceptual architectural services, remodeling, restoration of multiple county-owned locations and offices.
We have a motion by Mr. Mueller. Is there a second, please?
Second.
If I could just make sure that the motion clarifies exactly how much is going to be spent. Is it the 15,000?
It would be the 15 and the 5, so it'd be a not to exceed 20,000.
You get a motion and a second, correct?
That's what you would add, Mr. Mueller?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. then the second.
Who was the second?
Who was the second? I'm sorry, Mr. Wiltie. Oh,
Okay.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? Anything we need to add to that? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
Dave Wiltie,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg.
Yes.
All right, anything else, Mr. Mueller?
That'll be it.
All right, moving on to 12.1, community building. Mr. Logston, do you have any report for us this evening?
Yeah, just a couple of things. The first one is that they went ahead and they passed their purchasing policy. They used to have a $500 limit and now it's $2,500. That gets you spending without the approval from a specific committee or the committee board as a whole. There's a $30,000 services that exceed $30,000 must be purchased through multiple bid process. It used to be 20,000. And then a couple of random things. They're done with the painting. It's good. And they're almost finished with the lower level bathroom renovation. There's some items that had to be moved to different times because of the smell of the chemicals that are created when you start busting apart the terrazzo floor. The interesting thing that's happening with the Pearl Place apartments right now, and that is they're doing some construction. So the idea is to try to figure out where to park these people literally, because the parking lot's going to have to be used for the construction people that are doing it. So they're trying to take the municipal lot that's across the way from the community building and let them use that and possibly use temporary use in their cars so that they have a place to park. The Spring is Sprung Bunny event, it's like 100% positive feedback. Everybody loved it. I guess they bought a couple of hula hoops and that just made the whole party. Don't forget the Craft Vendor Fair. This was very important. Craft Vendor Fair is on 5/6/23. That's May 6th. Make sure you visit that. I think that they were almost at maximum capacity with vendors, and which means it's going to be a banger. It's going to be fun. And I think that, oh, yeah, one thing. There's going to have to be some construction done on some leaks, and the tornadoes that ripped through here a few weeks ago have really kind of put everybody on edge with that. So they want to fix that up. So they're talking about getting an engineer. And lastly, I'll say they approved that they're going to probably approve their budget, and it looks good. It makes sense.
Any questions for Mr. Logston? Mr. Curry?
One quick one, sorry. Anything happened with the sidewalk going from the assisted living over to that park?
Oh, they actually brought you up in conversation today, and they wondered if you would ask about that. Yes, what they want to do is they want to have, let's see if I got it. I'm trying not to misspeak here. I took as many notes as I could get. I think the idea is to get the construction guy that's doing the deal with the Park Place Apartments, get him to pay for it, and also maintain it, which basically means like snow removal in January. So, yeah. But in answer to your question, and they did bring you up in committee.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
All right, anyone else? Okay. Becky, you have anything on UCCI? I don't.
I do not.
Okay, very good. Any other special, 911 board, Ms. Branson, was there a meeting this morning?
There was a meeting this morning and My notes are, the list of allowable expenditures still remain on hold by the state of Illinois. The 911 dispatch center never really gets cleaned because we have a cleaning crew into that room, so it has not really been cleaned in like 3 years, other than, light dusting by the workers there. And it is scheduled for a deep cleaning on May 9th, where they go back behind all the wiring and the consoles and everything and really do a deep clean. There's no unusual income or expenses this month. They've got 4 people that are going to additional training, so they keep up on their best practices and state and federal mandates. The councillettes, which are radio equipment that actually connect into the computer system, were ordered in October of 2021. They have finally arrived, and they're hoping to get soon so they can update their radio system. And the big news is that the city, which is switching over to Metro ambulance service, starts on Monday. And I do not have an update on the county or District 2's ambulance service.
All right, very good. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Branson on the 911 board? All right, Northern Illinois Land Bank. Sherry Buki, are you with us or did you hang up by chance?
Negative. She did not join.
She did not join tonight? Okay, she did have a land bank report that is attached to board docs, I think, so. Any other committees? Any report? All right, scheduling committees. Mr. Larson, when's our next admin meeting?
Yes, the next admin meeting will be a 4th at 6 PM in this room.
All right, very good. Mr. Mueller, finance meeting?
Finance meeting will be May 11th in this room.
May 11th, 6 PM in this room. And next county board meeting will be May 18th at 6:30 PM in this building as well. We don't have any, do you have any unfinished business we need to look at? Becky, did you have something under correspondence that I missed?
I don't think so. There was something.
Just real quick.
Transportation property.
Yep, there's one correspondence, the informational meeting that's virtual regarding Business Route 20, if anybody's interested in participating.
Yep, getting a lot of calls on that too. Of people upset still about the median through the middle of that. So I encourage board members to get on board with that. I've talked to a couple of state legislators that are still not happy about all that as well, but I told them they have more push in that than we do. So hopefully they can stir something up on that because I know there's a lot of people not happy about that. But all right, anyone else?
Patterson.
Yes, Ms. Patterson.
Are we going to have an ad hoc committee?
Yes. Here's my plan. To start to go over the information, like I said before, on what we had in front of us last month. Try to see if there's things out of that we can put together in the next couple of committee meetings to have ready for. And again, if there's things that we obviously can't figure, let's just put steer tailing out there. If we can't make a decision on that or an educated decision on that by the time the May meeting comes, then we table that. That would be something we would take out of that ordinance. Okay. And then we can discuss those issues at ad hoc committee. Am I okay in saying what I'm?
Yeah, I guess it's just not like tabling it. It would be.
Removing it?
Well, it would be if there is no consensus to change it or to, I guess, amend the text amendment, it would remain as is, the code as it is.
Okay. So once we're done with the meeting in May, if there's issues that we have not been able to address, that's when I would move forward with the ad hoc committee.
Okay.
It'd be tough. It would be absolutely, like you said, it would be absolutely too difficult to try to cram all those meetings before the May meeting. I totally get
We're not doing
that.
anything moving forward. We're going to vote on what was.
No,
already
we have our two finance and administration and finance meetings. We can discuss these issues. We can have them put on the agenda.
Okay,
to
but
discuss.
we're not going to talk about it with the people that are actually involved in it.
I would assume not, no, at this point. Okay?
All right.
Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Wiltie.
The way I envision this is we look at the draft that we did not adopt last time. And if we can't, if it's something that we can't agree on, then we amend that out of the draft. And the things we can agree on, we leave in the draft and we adopt that. And that, if that leaves some big issues hanging, then we go with an ad hoc committee later on to try to figure that out.
Do you concur with that?
Yes.
For example, I think we all agree that the animal control personnel should be able to be in there, that kind of thing. So if we can agree on that kind of stuff, we can at least adopt that kind of stuff. Take out the charas and the rodeo thing and put in that public act. There's another easy one, I think. So that's the way I'm looking at this.
Exactly. Okay. Did you answer? I know you still have more questions, I'm sure, so. But that is how I was looking at this moving forward. So at least some of the things that were in that amendment, maybe we can live with, and the ones that we can't, then we, as you guys have said, we need to dig into it deeper and do more homework, so. All right, anyone else? Board member comments, all right? Okay, with that being said, I entertain one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn made by Mr. Wiltsey. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Schneider. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Me too.
Motion to adjourn is approved at
You're on fire.
3:02. Thank you, Dave.